In this video, I'm going to have a look at how I made this product, which I have branded as the locker stopper. So the problem here is that we have lockers at school with these locking mechanisms. This just rotates through 90 degrees to close the locker. And a few people have actual padlocks on their lockers, but not that many. And it's quite difficult sometimes as well to identify one locker from another. And I thought it would be rather fun to have like a little tag that you could hang on your locker door, a bit like a kind of keep out that you might have in a hotel. Um, but in this case, it's actually going to sort of make your locker a little bit more secure. Obviously, people can just unhook this and still access your locker, but that takes a bit of effort and a bit of intent. Whereas this is just a way of kind of like saying, okay, this is my locker, please leave it alone. Now, there's a few issues that I've found having made this. The two issues, primary issues, are that it's not very strong around this top edge here because I've got this basically, it's a 5.5 millimeter thick loop here and it's a 5 mil thick acrylic as well. In fact, once it's been laser cut, it's about 5 millimeters in thickness and 5 millimeters kind of in material thickness as well. So this is just about the right size to hook through where the padlock would normally go. But here, this bar is only 2.5 millimeters and it makes it rather thin. So that's the first problem. It's a little bit weak here. The second problem is that the gap between the top of this K here and where the hook is also a bit narrow, and it does hook on, but it's not that straightforward. So what I'm going to do is try and improve the design in this second run. Something else that's also occurred to me here is that the keep out is a little bit kind of like invasive in your face. And so what I'm going to do this time is try to go for another design, which is going to say instead cat's rule, which I think is nothing to do with lockers, but it's a very true statement, and I think it's a bit more fun to have on my locker. Okay, so let's just see. This is the model I made before. These are just some test hooks that I was making, just to show you what's happening here. These are separate text blocks. I've made sure I've got a grid lock turned on here, and I've got my 5 mil grid as usual, so I can just snap those into position. And then here's the hook design. Here's the frame that I put around the outside. Now there is actually, if I just select those two there and move them to the side, this space here is what I defined as being probably a sensible maximum size for whatever we want to put underneath the hook. So I've got this as 60 millimeters by 60 millimeters. And when I introduced here the keep out, it just was taking up less space. So I just kind of chopped off the bottom here using the delete part tool. I was able to just come in here and just delete that out. I will put that back for the time being. So here's the same thing with it framed up correctly. I've made it so that my text is no longer filled. And then here I've used the contouring tool with a 0 millimeter graphical contour to then do the cutout. And so hopefully we can see here that this fits onto there, and then once I've made, there we go, once I've made the blue cutouts, I can move my template to the side there, and this is actually what got cut out. Hence, blue is cut and black does nothing. So if I were to modify this design here, these are the modifications that I would make. First of all, let me see, I'm going to go into step lock here, and I've got a 2.5 millimeter step lock at the moment. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm working with 1.25, because that means that over a 5 millimeter grid, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 snaps. So that's 1.25, 2.5, 3.75, 5. And I'm finding that really useful in this context. I do those kind of settings quite a lot. Now let's just see what's going to be happening here. I'm going to ungroup this, Control U. I'm going to take the keep out away for a second. I've still got step lock on here, so I can still bring things back. Notice I've also got this little line stretching down here as well, which I kept it here. But here I've got it extending down. So I'm going to leave that for the time being, but probably trim that back. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this rectangle and I'm going to bring it down. Let me see if I bring that down. Yeah, I'm just going to bring it down there. Let's have a see. Yeah, let's bring it down there, 2.5 millimeters. I'm going to bring this down. Yeah, I could bring, whoops, Daisy, was that the right thing to bring down? That's the right thing to bring down. There. I'm going to bring that down 2.5 as well. Yeah, I'm liking that. And then can I shift select those two? Can I bring them back in again and position them nice to where I want them to be? Yeah, that looks really nice now. So I'm liking the look of that. I can see the P is a little bit extended to the end there. So with what I might do as well now is just deform this a little bit, just bring that in a little bit like that. So it's just kind of like a little bit more framed. Okay, although it has just caught that top edge there. So maybe I'm going to put it back to where it was. Let's just see. Yeah, I think I'll leave it where it was there. Okay, right, that's that. Now I've still got this bit of the bar coming down here, so maybe with the delete part, so I'm just going to trim that back a little bit there and a little bit back there as well. And if I wanted to, I could trim that back there. I don't think I'm going to worry because I can see that when I do my cutout, it's going to be absolutely fine. And the other thing here is about this bar, this loop at the top here. So let's just get a line tool here. Now I know that that is the center of the circle. Let's get the radial lock. I'm going to set the radial lock here to 15-degree increments, only active when drawing lines. And then now if I make sure this line is black, I'm going to have the center of the circles there. And that would be obviously horizontal. I'm going to raise this up 15 degrees like that. Then using the delete part tool, I can trim this away. Remember, the delete part tool is accessed by holding down the mouse button over delete any and then going to the delete parts section there. And I feel as if that's opening up this section a little bit and making it easier to go to hook onto the locker handle there, okay, through the loop where the padlock would normally go. Okay, good. Right, so all I need to do now is just reapply the contours. So let's come to the contour tool here, graphical in blue. And what I'm going to do here, of course, is I'm going to do all of the internal cutouts first. Okay, there's a bit in there for the T, bit in there for the P, bit in there for the K, and then I'm going to do the external. Now, of course, what I forgot to do there was group together the design behind, so I can't actually grab the design behind and move it out of the way. So I'm going to undo all of that back to where I was. Let's do this properly, shall we? Now I'm going to take all of that, I'm going to group it together. That's with no blue cutouts. Now I'm going to reapply my graphical contour with 0 mm contour spacing. Make sure I've got all the details of the lettering there, and then finally the external cutout. Now let's grab the black grouped element from behind, select that, move it out of the way like that, and you can see here that this is now my updated keep out, and I've just got a thicker bar at the top. I've thickened it at the bottom to make sure that we've got some sort of kind of what's the phrase I'm looking for here? Consistency? No, it just looks more proportional, I guess, there. I've not thickened up the edges here. I felt as if that was still going to be strong enough, but perhaps I could have thickened up that as well. Bearing in mind here, of course, that I did want to have it so that it was no more than 60 in width. So that would have meant that I would have had to have, for example, resize my text a little bit more here. Brought my text a little bit smaller to make that fit. Yeah, so I'm thinking that looks really, really good. I think what I'm going to do here is pause this, laser cut this, and see how it comes out. So there we are. I've done the job. It's laser cut. This is the old one here. Sorry, excuse me. That's one of the little sample rings that I made to test out to see if the system would work. And I'm just going to remove here first of all the cutout for the lettering. So hopefully it's going to pop out there. There we go. And then let's just see. Oh, there's the O to go there as well. Good. And let's just peel off the protective plastic here and see how this looks. Okay, so I think I'll pause and then replay when it's done. Okay, so there we are, finished. I've got to test it still on the locker, but I'm feeling positive about that. I personally wouldn't say something like keep out because it's just asking people to look in. I think psychologically it's going to be better to say something like, as I say, cats rule or dogs drool. There we are. Thank you, my colleague beside me there. But something short and snappy you can kind of fit in that space. Okay, there you go.